Usually, James starts recording the podcast 3 or 4 times. The first couple of times he starts recording it, he loses faith and has to start again. This week, though, he set a record, and recorded the start of the podcast 26 inadequate times. When time ran out, and it was time to actually publish a podcast, there wasn't actually a podcast to edit. So, instead, here are the 11 least bad abortions.
Yearning, 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 my mind is trapped in a prison and the prison is my mind, also yearning, 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 yearning.
Oh, it's a beautiful day. It's the nicest day of the year as I head outside, opening up my front door, walking out into the glorious sunshine of this episode of the James Donald Force McCann Catamaran Plan podcast. And my name's Hello, how are you? Oh, isn't it nice? Isn't it wonderful? I'm so embarrassed. I thought I was alone, and it's such a nice day. All my neighbours have come out. Oh my Lord, I'm so embarrassed as I get into the Volvo. And people could hear me, and now I'm here with you in a hot, sweaty Volvo.
Try again, you can always start again. Everybody gets a second chance.
Dear listener, by the time you hear this, I will be in America. Unless you're listening to this after I've come back from America, in which case you're listening to this since I have been in America. Unless you're listening to this in the very first few days after it comes out, in which case I will be going to America soon. My point merely being that this week I am going to the United States of America. And what on some level, frightening. If you're listening to this and you're in America, let me tell you, your media perception for people who have never been to your country before could be better. I know you used to have excellent soft power and media control, but most of what I see from America now is television programs in America actively attacking America or body cam footage. I've seen 2 police body cam footage videos this week, and I must say neither has been complimentary. If I was the US police force, I know it's not one single pan-national entity? Yes.
Start again, start again, start again. Third verse, same as the first. Yearning, 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 yearning.
You know, I had a dream last night, and unlike most dreams where something perverse happens or something insane, it was a dream for an idea for a stand-up comedy set. And it wasn't even like an idea that I had to drill down and make into a comedy set. The dream was me doing this comedy set. And possibly it's a whole show. In fact, in the dream, the name of the show that I was doing was called Counting to 600. That was the number. And I woke up and I wrote down what the show was. This hour-long show, Counting to 600 was. And the show is that I count to 600, but I talk about the numbers on the way. So you start maybe at 1, right? You don't have to start at 1. I think I would start at 1, though. Some people would say you got to start at 0. But these people are wrong. You could start at it doesn't have to be a whole number, does it? So you could start at 0.9, 1.1, 1.0003. But in my dream, I started with 1 and I came out on stage. And everything I was saying was getting raucous laughter, even though in hindsight, they're not really jokes. I would say, 1, everybody, 1. The number 1. 1 is the best number. Everyone wants to be number 1. I could have quotes about being number 1. If you're not first, you're last, Ricky Bobby. Ricky Bobby's dad. But is any number so maligned as one, as lonely as one? One is the loneliest number. So one is like the best number and the worst number. And 2, ladies and gentlemen, the number 2. Well, it's good to be in a couple, 2. But second is very bad.
Number 4, do it some more for yearning for.
You know, dear listener, I know this will come as a surprise to many of you, a shock even. But I have, I have no peace. There's nowhere that I can go to record this podcast. Car after car is now driving down what I thought to be a quiet suburban street. I don't have an office. I don't have a spare room. I'm on the run. Virginia Woolf said a woman to be a writer needed a room of one's own. How about a man with a room of one's own, for crying out loud? I got a Volvo and I make do. And it's the first hot day where I haven't had an office. It's not even hot. It's actually lovely with the windows down, but then I got the windows down and I try and do the podcast and I just feel very embarrassed. I feel embarrassed even talking about it.
55555.
Anxiety's a funny thing, isn't it? Anxiety's a very strange, funny. What is anxiety? I used to think anxiety was sort of God's shadow. Do you know what I mean? I just mean that anxiety is sort of your capacity to understand how you wish things were. And I think it's maybe not an accident, an unhappy accident, but maybe it's not an accident that people with, arts degrees who spend a lot of time with literature and rather than doing things or enjoying their lives, they fixate upon the big questions, that these people experience a large amount of anxiety, that perhaps they really have managed to improve the soul. I don't know, it's all just wank, really, isn't it? It's all a lot of wank. Fear, anxiety, is it the same thing? I had to write an article about anxiety that dogs have. I say article. Website for a company that's trying to sell anti-anxiety drugs for dogs. Let's not go too much into it. I had to write 6,000 words on dog anxiety. I'll give you this hint, dear listener. I don't know anything about dog anxiety. Anyway, I've been drinking.
Yearning for 6, I want 6 and out, scream and shout.
Here's something I thought about this week that I never really thought about before, is that in America, they always have their elections early in November. I think it's always in the first few days of November. And they're actually going to have their midterms in just a few weeks, shortly after I come back from America. I'm going to miss the midterms, but I hope to be there in time to see some of the looting. It just seems to have been elections and looting hand in hand the last few times, and I wonder if we will get looting this time around. Anyway, my thought was just that Halloween seems to be a big thing in America, and that's on October 31. And it seems to me that that's very close to the elections in early November. Now, in sitcoms and dramas, is dramas the correct plural of drama? I don't know. But like in TV shows, you'll have your election episode of a sitcom, but then you'll also have your Halloween episode of a sitcom. And it occurred to me that every second Halloween in America is like an election. And every election goes through Halloween in the cycle. So, you have these people putting signs out in front of their yard saying, vote Biden, vote Trump, vote whoever, DeSantis, Kamala. You know what I'm saying? But it's also Halloween, so you got people in spooky costumes and pumpkins next to it, and that they must always go together. Am I right about that? Am I wrong about that? But it never comes across that way in a sitcom. There's separate episodes. There's your election episode and your Halloween episode. I can't think of a show that has an election on Halloween type setup. Anyway, is it important? It's probably not important. It made me think about Bingity.
7 a foretaste of heaven 777 CEEVM.
I want to talk about three things today on the James Donald Forbes McCann Catamaran Plan podcast, a podcast that is all about trying to raise enough money to buy a catamaran. And may I just say, as thing number 0, before we start, the three things, as the, would we say addendum, the preface, the beforehand, I want to say thank you for listening to this podcast. Hopefully some ads played before you started listening. You probably got one ad. Maybe that was an ad for the Acast network. Maybe it was an ad because your penis doesn't work right and they want to sell you a pill for that. Maybe it was even an ad telling you to put big pharma vaccinations into your body. I don't have control over the ad, but what I do have control over is saying now, thank you for listening to that ad. Apparently at some point I'll start getting money from the ads. At the moment, I have no money from the ads. Still, even though we get, you need a certain, but whatever, that money will be used for the catamaran. Thank you.
8 don't be late, 8 not feeling great, 8 very late.
Okay, I want to talk about three things today. Just three things. Will it end up only being three things? No. I mean, because is one of those three things describing how I want to talk about three things? No, so that would make it four things, right? Three things, and thing number 4, which comes before the 3, talking about the three things. So I want to talk about 4 things. Okay. Thing number 1, I want to talk about 3 things. Thing number 2, thing number 1 of the 3 things. It's the second, and it's the first. An idea came to me for a comedy show, a comedy bit at very least. So that's thing number 2, which is thing number 1. Thing number 3/4. Wait a minute. No. 2/3. Oh, Jimmy, can't do it.
9 a world away from fine.
Hey everybody, how's it going? This is James Donald Forbes McCann here for the James Donald Forbes McCann Catamaran Plan. But you already know who it is! I don't have to tell you who it is because this is a podcast and you are able to see the name of it. It's not like the radio, it's not terrible start to it.
10 how many times do I have to start again when 10 where?
I'm quite nervous about going to America. I don't mind telling you that. Hello, this is James Donald Forbes McCann of the James Donald Forbes McCann Catamaran Plan. Feeling much healthier this week. Feeling much more drunk than last week when I was also drunk, but this time I'm alone. 1 is the loneliest number. But 1 is also the best number, isn't it? 1, I'm so alone. But then also, I want to be number 1. So that's really a flip side, positive, negative dichotomy on the number 1. Number 2 in a union, 2 together, 2 in a marriage, 2 to be whole. But also, 2, second best. You're my second priority. This is all negative. This is all, At the same time, 2 is what the 1 yearns for, and 1 is what the 2 yearns for. Wasn't that beautiful? 3, of course, is the most mystical, stable of numbers. Trinity, Trinitarianism. The 1, the 2, the 3, third wheel, though. That's the negative. That's the flip side. When is 1 good? When you're winning. When is 1 bad? When you're on your own. When is 2 good? When you're together. When is 2 bad? When you're looking at number 1. When is 3 good? When it's mystical. When is 3 bad? When you're looking at number 2. Here's an expression people don't have, though. 4th wheel. 4. Awesome foursome. Quads. I think 4 is maybe never as good as 3, 2, or 1, you know? But it's never as bad either. 4 is really in the middle. Think about it.
11, 11, 11, 11.
I will talk about this. This is what's actually got me down today, because I was meant to do some work today and I just couldn't do it. I was too flat and I thought, was I sick? But no. A man who I know, who I've blocked, I blocked his telephone number so that he would stop pestering me, because this man is a serial pest. And so I blocked him. It's hard because I love him. He has many wonderful qualities, but I just couldn't do it. So I said, hey, listen, if he'd done some stuff that I found to be unconscionable. I said, if you're ready to apologise, let me know. But otherwise, I'm not having this anymore. And I blocked him. Which, it's hard for him to apologise if I've blocked him. Well, not that hard. We know people, and he knows where I am. He knows how to find me. So basically, I just, I threw the block on. And he's now international. And so he's got a new mobile phone number. And he decided to use that. He's still got my car. I haven't changed my phone number. So I wasn't breached in the Optus unpleasantness. Although I might go and sign up with Optus now, because they're never going to have better security than they do now, I wouldn't think. Not, fool me once, and so on and so forth. And yes, he sent me a fresh text today, and I said, hello, bugger off, basically. More or less. I tried to be more charitable than that. Because I do love him and I want him to be well, but I tried to make it clear that until he was ready to
submit to an exorcism,
put himself right. When you're when you're a single man with no dependents, you're sort of free to have the confidences of and acquaintance with weirdos and nutters of all stripes. And it's sort of, if anything, it gives you energy. It's an exciting, moving, grooving, happening thing. I've hung out with many insane people. Had many friends who are, whatever it has you, addicts, drama people, exciting, weird, interesting people. And then I have a family now, and I want to protect them and basically just give them my energy. And I don't have the energy to, even if you're a wonderful, interesting person, if you're a nut and you live in a parallel reality where no one can go with you, if you're abusive, if you're any of these things, I can't. I'm sorry. There's no having it, There's no, what time of the day am I meant to have for getting into an argument with somebody? I don't do it anymore. If you're, if you're going to start some shit, get out. I watch a lot of black people giving advice on Instagram, and that's what the algorithm has for me. It's like Shaq talking about money, or Steve Harvey talking about relationships, or Charlemagne the God talking about whatever it is he's on about. And it's great common sense delivered. And I really am. You don't have a choice. You got to act like you got some sense, to quote some of the videos I've been watching. And so I just can't do it. Anyway, so I basically said, hey, off you trot. Off your trot. I mean, I was way funnier and cleverer than just saying off your trot in this text message. But
you told him to submit to an exorcism.
There's no need to go into it. And then he emailed me, because of course he has my emails as well. So to block the email too. And at some point you just go, oh, I don't mind having this conversation with you if you're listening to this and you're the person I'm speaking about. If you're paying for me to have a boat, I think, and that's the way you've decided to get back in contact. Well done. It's a proxy apology. And that's really all I was after. Sorry, I don't want to be vague I don't want to be vague posting. I think we've all got those people in our lives, though, who you go, are you insane? Do you know what I mean? These people, often it's in our family, it's our friends, people we've known for years. But you go, around this person, there's always like honour, there's always argument, there's always difficulty. And then with other people in my life, there's no difficulty. It's just a smooth locomotion. It's just easy. And my life is so hard. What do I need to make it difficult? Why do I need someone in my life who's going to, you know... People always say, you need someone to call you on your shit. And I go, I don't. You know, how good do you think my life is going that I need someone to call me on my shit? I know that it's life. Life is calling me on my shit. I'm talking about someone else now. But, you know, people just, people really get off. People really get off on being negative and down and cruel and weird. Fires off the dopamine sector of their brain. And, you know, partially it's quite lovely. It's quite lovely to have someone do that too, because it means they're paying attention. I'm not saying that's why people stay in abusive relationships, but golly, that's got to be a part of it. You know, kiss with a fist and all that. Someone who's really focusing on making your life miserable, but they are focusing on you. And that, you know, the opposite of love is inattention, not that sort of viciousness. So it is nice. It's nice to have someone reach out, and, you know. And this man who went at me today, he writes beautifully. His insane. I mean, it's the level of. I mean, he'd be, if we lived in a time before text, he'd be cutting open. You know, he'd be writing messages in blood and slipping them under the door. But when you looked at them, you'd go, well, it's really beautiful script. And some of the word choices are quite inspired. You know, great word economy for a man who's bleeding out. He's already thought about it. It is nice to, sorry, I'm burning. But you know what I mean? It's just like, it's nice. Yeah, part of it's nice to have someone. You know, and I was happy. I thought, oh, he's still alive. Good for him. Good for me. I'm glad he's alive. But then I also went, oh, I'm not. I could have got, I mean, what he wants is for me to get into it and to expend energy and to focus on him. It's not really paying attention to me. It's to put himself at the centre of an orbit. And I just don't. And now I'm talking about him and I'm thinking about it. And I find that very draining. And if I'm honest, if he was a little, I mean, I'm not just saying this to be cruel, I don't think, but if he was just a little more brilliant, a little bit smarter, a little bit funnier, a little bit more interesting, if he was better read rather than just having the appearance of someone who was well read, I might let him abuse me a little more, but he's not quite worth it. You know? I've known people who are worth it. I'd like to think I'm worth it. All the people I abuse. No, I don't think I'm saying this in a gaslighty way, but I just, I never have time for that with other people. I'm sure it feels great. Not, I mean, it feels good to be harassed in that way. In a certain sense. In a bigger sense, it's like awful. It fucked the whole day. But like part of it is tremendous is what I'm trying to convey. You know, it's mixed. It's complicated. But I also see that it must feel great to be angry and to fixate on someone and try and destroy them. Do you know what I mean? Like to be writing these. If he's writing them to me, he must be writing them to other people, because I am not that big on this man's radar. Yeah, the drama, that ego. I'm sure it would really help you get out of bed in the morning. But I don't know the last time that I wrote a text or email or called somebody and was like, hey, this is everything you're doing that I think is wrong. I just don't. I don't like conflict enough to do that. Man, probably feels terrific to do that and to actually get an apology out of somebody. Can you imagine how good that must feel to just like, unnecessarily attack somebody and have them say sorry to you. I mean, you'd feel so powerful. But I don't think I don't want to toot my own horn, but I don't think I ever do this. I just go inward. Or I cut people out. I go, I don't have... Truth is charity, but I don't... for many people, for peripheral people, for friends and acquaintances and work, I don't think I don't love enough. I don't have enough love to abuse in that way, to risk all the negativity from starting drama. I just don't care enough to do it. And I think that's probably a nastier thing. Maybe I only think it's nasty because it's me, and you talk yourself down, you make yourself out to be the greatest villain. And it's actually not that bad. But no, I absolutely just let people drift away. Oh, sorry everybody. I didn't know that I was going to go down that avenue. Now I have. I got to get a haircut this week, and I know someone who gives haircuts. I think I'm coming to a haircutting shop tomorrow. But thanks for putting up with me and my rambling. I'm now going to attempt to record the actual quote-unquote podcast.
Try again, you can always start again, everybody gets a second chance.